This is the new VX4 GT, a premium single-motor ultra-commuter from Swiss electric scooter company VMAX. It's one of the quickest single-motor electric scooters we've tested. I think it's among the best in ride quality, but it's also one of the most expensive single motors. Is it worth it? Let's find out. This is the full review of the VMAX VX4 GT. I've got 3 new challenges in this video. We're gonna go big dog versus medium-sized dog for top speed and hill climb test, and I'm gonna put our range test to the test by riding this scooter for an entire lap around San Francisco. So if the official ESG range test number is wrong, I'm gonna end up doing some walking. I'm also doing a tire sealant challenge this time, and I'll tell you more about that once we get riding. This is Paul from Electric Scooter Guide, the channel that tests more electric scooters than anyone else. The VX4 is VMAX's most powerful single motor scooter, and it comes in 3 different battery sizes, ranging from $11.99 in price to $14.49, with specified ranges of 34, 46, or 62 miles on eco mode, depending on which model you get. I'm testing the GT, the big battery version. It's got a battery twice as big as the one in the 9bot Max, and we'll find out how far that gets us out in the real world. So what makes this an ultra commuter? Well, aside from the big battery, it's got 10-inch tires and full suspension front and rear. But despite being single motor, this thing is a surprisingly good hill climber with 1600 watts of peak power and 500 watts nominal. But don't think of it as a 500 watt scooter, it just doesn't compare at all. This thing will beat 1000 watt scooters uphill. Let's see what it's like right out of the box. Ooh, very nice. Oh, look at that dash. That's pretty cool. Oh, here we go, Eco Sport. Okay, so we've just got 2 modes. You know, I kind of like that. I don't need 3 modes. And we'll have to figure out how to get this into miles per hour. Got our headlight, nice and bright. They say 60 lux. Headlight indicator comes on, but also the screen dims just a little bit. So it's a nice thick manual. So they cover the display pretty well, show you what all the things are, and then give you all the user settings just on one page, which is nice. So this is pretty cool. So I push the menu button for 2 seconds, and then you get this nice little animated transition. Navigate, blinker buttons to navigate. This is actually something that everybody should have. I don't think I've seen this before. Sometimes you get into the settings, you push a bunch of buttons and you're like, should I have pushed that? You know, where were the original settings? And so I like to write down the original settings. You don't even need to do that here because it's gonna let you just go back to your default settings if you get lost on, you know, what you've changed. So the tire spec is a range. They give you basically it's like 36 pounds to 43.5 pounds. We're gonna get Ramier on this later on, so we're gonna go to 43.5, which is what they recommend for heavier riders. And they send a valve stem adapter, which is nice. You definitely don't need it on the front one. And in fact, I think I'm gonna be able to get on the back one with our little electric pump here that we like so much.
Link in the description.
All right, so here we go. So 43.5 and go. If you have a regular pump, then you might need the extender to get onto this one. But one of the things I really like about this electric pump is that it screws onto most valve stems without an extender. All right, so we're ready to go test. Stay with us for this one, because we're gonna do something different today. We're gonna get Ramier out there on the hill climb test. We're gonna compare my hill climb time with Ramier's hill climb time, because I think this is gonna be an awesome single motor scooter for big dogs, but we're gonna find out for sure. So let me give you some of my riding impressions of the VX4. And I'm gonna start with kind of a big one, and this may be my favorite single motor electric scooter right now. And well, you know, it should be, because other than the GT1 from Segway, this is the most expensive single motor scooter I've ever ridden at $1,449. And that's if you get the, you know, the big battery version, which is what I'm riding now. You kind of get what you pay for with this one. It feels really, really good. We'll go through all the details and all that. And that's not to say it's perfect. There are actually a couple things about this scooter that really bug me, but it's still my favorite because it's not enough to cancel out all the other good things it does, most of which is just the ride quality and the throttle control. The suspension on this is absolutely amazing. It feels like it was tuned for my weight at 165 pounds, but I bet if we ask Ramier, he'll probably say the same thing, because it's rubber in the back, and that rubber suspension is sort of self-tuning. The harder you push it, the stiffer it gets, and so it kind of fits everybody. And then up front, we have sort of a motorcycle style front fork. I can tell these guys ride scooters. Whoever designed this scooter rides scooters. I can say that for a fact, because there's no way they got it to ride this nicely without riding it themselves like a ton. You know, as a rider, as a former motorcycle racer, I'm super fussy about the feel of the scooters, the feel of the motorcycles that I ride. And this feels amazing. Even the cops like it. They're kind of looking at me. You know, the front brake is a drum. It's not, you know, super strong. We'll see what the braking distance is when we measure it. but you also can't overdo it. You grab the brakes really hard, it's not putting you over the bars. Just the overall feel, the build, you know, there's something we call the push test, and this is a silly thing, but it's a real thing. Ramir and I, we swear, like when we push a scooter across the room, we can tell if it's a good scooter or not. There's something that shows up there. We've been doing this so long. And this absolutely, as soon as I picked it up off the stand and started pushing it, it's like, oh, this passes the push test. You know, it passes the ride test too. This is a great scooter. I can't wait to see the rest of the performance numbers to see how that all stacks up. But I'm telling you, just to ride, I'm gonna ride this all day tomorrow in San Francisco. I'm looking forward to it. So the VX4 has cruise control, which is handy because you can rest your hands while you ride, but don't do it like this, just rest your thumb. We're gonna do a different kind of speed run today. Because of the beast mode, because of the big suspension and the big battery on the VX4, I think this might be a great scooter for big dogs. And so we're gonna find out what the big dog top speed is, not just the Paul top speed. We're actually gonna do both and compare the two and see how they stack up.
Let's go.
All right, so the way to know that you're in the top mode on this scooter is you pretty much just have to lift the wheel off the ground like that and check the speedo. And so we're gonna spin it up before we go out. We're seeing like 27 miles per hour in sport mode, and that should be enough. Let's see how it goes.
I seen 24 indicated, so one way 24 miles even, and then on the way down 24.4.
We'll see how that checks out on the data logger. All right, now it's my turn. I'm gonna do a bunch of speed runs. I gotta start off in beast mode though. Gotta see if I can beat Ramir's top speed. Let's go. It's got some kick. You know, this is a single motor scooter, but like the VX2, you get on it in beast mode and you give it the throttle and it goes. All right, I'm gonna line up, do the same run that he did. That's a good launch. I'm all fogged up because of the rain, I can't see a thing. $19, $20, $21, $22, $23, $24, $25 this way. 25.4. Now we're out of beast mode. We're in regular old sport mode. So 21.7. I think I saw 21.9 there for a second. So basically 21.7. Okay, now I'm gonna go to eco mode. Okay, yeah, that's a much softer launch. And it spins up to the same speed when I have the tires off the ground. Will it spin up to the same speed when you're riding? And it does, yeah, 21.7. So it really is, eco mode is just affecting how strong the throttle is when you first take off. So Ramir at 238 pounds and 6'4" had a top speed of 24.4 miles per hour, and my top speed at 5'10" and 165 pounds was 25.1. So I was marginally faster, but it was a smaller difference than I expected. And you know, something that the VX4 does different than other scooters is that eco mode and sport mode have the same top speed of 21.9 miles per hour. But in eco mode, you've just got like slower and smoother acceleration. But let's get back to acceleration. Acceleration in hill climbing are very, very strong. So that was interesting. So on flat ground, it's VX2 with me on it versus, I'm 165 pounds, and VX4 with Ramir on it at 238. So on flat ground just now, VX4 was pulling me. I couldn't keep up. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how it does on the hill in a minute though. Right now I'm on the VX2 and Ramir's on the VX4, and we're gonna head over to the hill climb spot. These both have beast mode, and the VX2 is one of the fastest single motor scooters we've ever tested, one of the quickest accelerating. VX4 feels quicker to me. And so I'm really curious to see how this all checks out when we do the hill climb test and everything else. I'm actually gonna, when we get over there, I'm gonna race Ramir up the hill with me on the VX2 and him on the VX4. But we're also gonna compare my times versus Ramir's times up the hill. So this little fence is the starting line of our 10% grade test hill. Here we go. So Paul on the VX2 versus Ramir on the VX4 on the ESD 10% grade test hill. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, it's pretty close. Ramir's pulling me though. Oh, how fast am I going? 11 miles an hour. Oh. Nice. That's it. So these are two of the strongest single motor hill climbers we've ever tested. And the VX4 is clearly stronger because Rainier just beat me up the hill, and I weigh, 165, Rainier's at 238 pounds. And so there we go. So we're both in beast mode right now. Let's see what happens when we pull the VX4 out of beast mode and see if it still beats the VX2 with me on it. Regular sport mode for the VX4, beast mode for the VX2. Rainier versus Paul on the ESG hill. One, throttle. Oh. Even in regular mode, VX4 is pulling the VX2. Again, VX2, one of the strongest single motor hill climbers ever. VX4 is clearly stronger. So Rainier thought that felt faster, which is weird because it's definitely not beast mode. We checked it. Now Rainier is in non-beast mode, eco mode on the VX4, and I'm on the VX2 in full beast mode. Let's go again. One, oh, I got the jump on Rainier pretty bad that time. Oh, you know why? Because he's in eco mode. I'm finally gonna win.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Oh yeah, so that's a different deal, eco mode. All right. Okay, so now it's my turn on the big scooter. You know what else is different about these two scooters, Rainier, is the left brake on the VX2 is the front brake, and that's more bicycle style. And on the VX4, the right brake is the front brake, and that's more like scooter / motorcycle style. So didn't notice that till just now. Okay, now it's my turn. I'm on the VX4. I'm in eco mode. We're gonna see how fast the VX4 goes up the ESG test hill. 12 miles an hour. That's not bad. This is a really steep hill, folks. 12.7. All right. This is regular sport mode. All right, go. All right. Oh yeah, definitely stronger. All right, I'm already up 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, almost 17 by the top of the hill. This is a much stronger hill climber. All right, I gave the power button 5 clicks. I'm in beast mode. We're seeing the right top speed. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You know what? That felt slower too, I agree. Interesting. Rainier and I both think it went quicker in non-beast mode. So I think beast mode might be higher top speed, but not necessarily higher acceleration. We'll see that in the data. The VX4 climbed the test hill just 3.7 seconds faster with me on it than Rainier, and I weigh 73 pounds less. So based on the hill climb results and all the riding that we did in the last couple days, I think the VX4 is really one of the best single motor scooters out there for big dogs. Let's check out the brakes. I think these knobby tires are gonna be great for wet weather riding, so I'm gonna do a little wet versus dry braking test. This scooter actually has 3 brakes, a drum brake up front, it's got a disc brake in the back, and then both levers, either one, will also activate the regen brake in the rear wheel. So when you grab just the front brake, you're getting front drum and rear regen, and of course, if you grab them all together, you get everything. And if you just want regen, you can pull either lever just a little bit. Then you'll only get regen, which charges your battery as you slow down.
So when you say charges your battery, what does that mean?
It's using the motor as a generator. Instead of using it as a motor. So it actually takes the energy from slowing down and puts it back into your battery to help you climb the next hill. Now let's test the brakes on dry pavement. You really do have to squeeze the front brake as hard as you can. It's a drum brake. The advantage is it's never gonna put you over the handlebars. The disadvantage is you're not gonna get like sort of ultimate braking distances that you can get with a disc up front. The stopping distance of electric scooters in wet conditions are better than you think. I've done some direct traction measurements before. You've probably seen it in one of our videos, and there's about 10% difference between the traction in the wet versus the dry. And it turns out these braking distance I measured agree with it exactly. It took 13.4 feet to stop from 15 miles per hour in the rain and 12.1 feet to stop in the dry, and that's 10% less. I love the way that VMAX does turn signals. They've got bar end turn signals that you can see from in front or behind up here, but then you also get turn signals down on the deck that you can see from behind. The other thing I really like about them is that they have these rubber covers on them, so you can knock the scooter over and not break the lenses. But there's kind of a weird quirk that you should know about, and that's that when you use the turn signals, and I'll do it again here, is if I do a short press, turn signals turn on like normal, right? But now turn it off. If I do a long press, Nothing. So short press to turn the turn signals on. There are two riding modes, sort of three of them. There's Eco and Sport. And one thing that the VX4 does differently than other scooters is that both Eco and Sport mode have the same top speed. We tested it. But what's different is that the acceleration is softer and slower in Eco mode than it is in Sport mode. So it just makes it easier to ride for new riders or if you're just not feeling so sporty today. And then there's Beast mode, which isn't really documented anywhere, but it takes 5 clicks of the power button, and now you're in beast mode with higher top speed and more acceleration. But the funny thing is it doesn't acknowledge it in any way. It doesn't show up on the display and there's no beep. And the same is true for cruise control. If you want cruise, 3 clicks and that's on, but also no real acknowledgement from the scooter until it turns on, and then you'll see the cruise control icon show up at the top of the display. From there, touching the brakes or the throttle will exit cruise control, but be warned, a quick touch of the throttle won't exit cruise control. You have to touch it for like 0.2 of a second. There's a USB port tucked away underneath the left control pod, and you can plug your phone in right there. But there's a trick to it, and that is that if you just plug it in, it won't charge. You have to turn the scooter on after you plug it in, and then it'll charge your phone. I love the traction of the grips and the throttle. The grips are locked into place so they don't move at all. And then the throttle's got this little rubber pad that's super grippy and has nice little nubs on it. Something I don't love is the way that the stem latches down to the deck. And let me show you what I mean. When you put it down, you have to pop up this guy right here, and then it'll latch in right there. But if you set it down even a little, it pops back down again. And that can be tough when you're trying to reposition in the trunk, or if you're carrying it and want to set it down and pick it back up, because it takes 2 hands to re-engage. I've heard some riders will even take a pen and like jam it through here to keep this up. And now, works pretty well, and you can latch and unlatch pretty easily. But the problem is if you like to ride with your foot up here, well, that's not gonna work anymore. One thing that's a little bit confusing about the VMAX app is there are actually 2 apps. And around here we just call them the white app and the black app, and this one uses the black one. It's got a nice dashboard on here and gives you a lot of information about what's going on with your scooter, but really all of the control of the scooter itself is done through the dashboard and not so much through the app. But there are some nice navigation features and it'll let you record your ride. I mentioned how much I like the traction of the knobby tires earlier, but one thing I didn't mention is that they're tubeless, which means they're more resistant to getting a flat tire if you hit a curb or at the edge of a pothole. Some other build quality features we really like is that the scooter's rated IPX6, which is among the highest water resistance ratings that we've seen on electric scooters. And the scooter is UL listed, UL 2272, for safe charging. And all of those contribute to a high longevity and reliability score of 9.2 out of 10. I don't usually think of single motor scooters being great for off-roading, but the big motor, the full suspension, and hybrid off-road tires make this a lot of fun in the dirt. But even with 10-inch tires, you've got to watch where you're going. For serious off-roading, I think e-bikes still have the edge here. We just did a little impromptu off-roading here on this. I'm not sure there's a trail. Whoa! Oh, I ate it. And like pretty much all scooters, it doesn't like to go in sand. All right, now it's time to range test the VX4 to find out exactly how far it'll go on one charge. All right, I'm down to my last 1% battery. I'm going up a very steep hill, and I'm still going 16 miles an hour. That's not bad. VMAX claims that in Eco mode, the big GT version of the VX4 will cover up to 62 miles, but our hilly range test course is very tough. In Beast mode, I covered 32.1 miles. Yesterday, I rode this scooter 32.1 miles on the ESG test course. Today, I'm gonna put that test to the test by riding a full lap of San Francisco. And I'm gonna go from here to Chase Center, to Oracle Park, to the Ferry Building, to the Trans-American Pyramid, to Coit Tower, to Fisherman's Wharf, to the Golden Gate Bridge, to the Cliff House, and Ocean Beach, to Lake Merced, and finally back home. And if my range test from yesterday isn't accurate, I'm gonna end up doing some walking to get back home. So to be honest, this is actually my second time trying this challenge, because the first time I got a flat tire not very far from home, and that can happen on any scooter that has air-filled tires. I just picked up a screw from a construction site, and you know, there I was. And so this time I've got armadillos in my back tire. I just put it in, I barely tested it and just took off because I just, you know, I've got faith that it's gonna work. I've used it before. And I'm carrying some extra in my backpack just in case, along with my favorite battery-powered tire pump. So I'm feeling pretty good now. The VMAX has tubeless tires which work especially well with tire sealant. If this were a tubed tire scooter, I probably wouldn't feel this comfortable just putting the sealant in and just taking off. But I know this is gonna work, and so here we go. Right off the bat, something I didn't take into account is how many red lights there are in the city. This is a lot more than is on my range test, and this is gonna hurt my range, so I'm a little nervous now about what the end result's gonna be and how much walking I'm gonna end up doing. What a beautiful day. All right, well, I've made it to my first stop, and that's Chase Center in San Francisco. I've got, I don't know if you can see, I've got 7 miles on the odometer. I started with 40 on here. I've got, still says 100%, but at like 52.9, so I'm down about a little over a volt. So one of the big things about a long-range scooter, well, there are 2 things that make a good long-range scooter. One is the scooter has to be able to go the distance, but the other is that it has to be comfortable enough that the rider can go the distance. So far, we're both feeling really good, but we'll see how things go. It's still early. Okay, stop number 2, and that's Oracle Park. I'm only a mile further than it was last time. All right, well, I've made it to the ferry building and I'm feeling good. We're about a third of the way here in terms of range. I've got more than 52 volts left, but next up is Coit Tower, and there's a lot of climbing to get up there. So I'm a little nervous about what that's gonna do to my range, but we'll find out. All right, I've made it to the Transamerica Pyramid, and I'm doing great. I've got 50 miles on the Odo, so that's 10 miles since I left. 52 volts, I'm only down a couple of volts. Looking good. The next stop is Coit Tower, and there are some big, big hills coming. So that's gonna test the climbing ability and test the battery capacity, because it's really gonna drain the battery. And hey, look, we're at Cafe Trias, my favorite cafe, and the finish line for the Apollo City versus my car race that we did across San Francisco. And we're not even halfway done with this lap yet. The map is telling me that, oh my gosh, this hill is crazy steep. Can we do it? Will this scooter climb this hill? No way. No way. It's gonna do it. Look at this hill. Look at this. Not bad for a single motor scooter, huh? Wow, we're gonna have to get the grade of this hill. I really didn't think it was gonna do it. I'm pumping out, what, 1,500 watts? This is a long hill. This is punishing. And are we even in the right place? No, we are not in the right place. We're close. No, it stairs from here. Okay, we're gonna call this good. Google did me wrong. We're here. We are at Coit Tower, but you know, they put me at the stairs, and I kind of wanted to ride all the way up, but I'm not gonna make this scooter do that again. That was a crazy, crazy hill. We'll find out the incline we just went up, because that's the steepest, for sure. That is the steepest hill I've ever gone up on a single motor scooter. This is crazy. Look at that view. So I climbed the hill twice to get here. But here we are, and we're at 51 miles. I've dropped about 1 volt and 51.6 volts, and Fisherman's Wharf's next, but that's all downhill from here. So I've made it to Fisherman's Wharf, and I'm about 12 miles in, which is, you know, a little less than halfway. What's striking me at this point is how small the city feels. I mean, if you were to walk from point to point, the points I've been hitting, it'd be really far. If you were to drive there, it's not that far to drive, but like, parking is insane, and so it also feels far. But I've never experienced the city feeling smaller to me than it feels today doing this lap of San Francisco. Okay, so that was Fisherman's Wharf, and a bonus, I got Alcatraz in here too. Up next is Golden Gate Bridge. It's 4.1 miles from here. Oh, it's so beautiful today. This is exceptional. This is like the best ride ever, literally the best ride ever. So we're here at the opening of the bay, and my next stop is gonna be all the way on the west side of the city at the Pacific Ocean, at the Cliff House. I cannot believe that I rode here from my house, and then I'm gonna ride back from here to my house with any luck. The pavement right here is really, really good, and that's gonna be thinking about the suspension and the ride so far today. It's really good. I've covered kind of every terrain from bad pavement to good pavement to, whoa, okay, to, to dirt and a little bit of gravel, and the tires and the suspension have been amazing. They've handled everything. So I sort of forgot about all the hills on Clement Street on the way to the Cliff House. And so this is definitely not gonna help my range. I'm a little worried because I planned this trip down to about the last 2 miles. So this is gonna be closer than I thought. Oh man, this is so fun. This is the best ride ever. All right, I've covered 28 miles and I'm almost home. And by the noise and the surroundings and the BART train passing by, oh, you can tell that we live in the less expensive part of town. And finally back home. Yeah, and so the thing that I'm struck by the most after doing this ride, after doing a full lap of San Francisco, and this is after you can see there's sand all over the deck of the scooter, is that the city felt so small. I've never felt the city feel more small today. I've ridden around San Francisco quite a bit. I live here. But I've never done a lap of the city. I've never experienced it in quite this way. And yeah, I've ridden motorcycles, I've driven cars, of course. But it's just the extra time that it takes to park and kind of get to where you want to go, or park and walk and all that. The scooter just kind of shrunk the whole city. And maybe the other thing I'm surprised by the most is that I feel really good. I thought I was gonna be really tired. Seriously, I could do it again right now. The scooter couldn't. I think it's only got about 5 miles left in it. And in fact, I'm gonna go and do those 5 miles right now just to find out exactly how much range is left. So I did my entire lap of San Francisco and the scooter's not done yet. So I live next door to Daly City, so I'm gonna head off into Daly City now, up in the hills, to one of my favorite trails. So another surprise was that even though the lap around the city was 29.3 miles, after I reached my house, I was able to ride another 10.1 miles before the scooter stopped going. And so riding at tourist speed, I covered 39.4 miles. So what I've learned from all this is, one, that you can trust the ESG range test if you want to go plan a day ride. The other is that red lights don't hurt your range as much as I thought. In fact, it counts way less than top speed. And the other is that Armadillo's tire sealant just works. I put half a bottle in the rear tire because I just got a puncture and filled it up, put it in air, didn't even think about the rest of the day, and just went for my ride. So who is the VX4 for? Well, it's definitely a great fit for heavier riders, but I also think it's a really good fit for anybody who's fussy about ride quality, or, well, let's call it a ride quality aficionado. This is also a great choice for anybody who wants to do long range riding, especially if you're doing that riding all at once, because this is a very comfortable scooter to ride for hours on end. So who's the VX4 not for? Well, if you want the absolute maximum raw speed versus price, dual motor scooters do that better. But there really is something about the sweet spot occupied by ultra commuters that give you like a nice amount of speed without tiring you out. And so you can just cover a ton of ground and still feel refreshed and like ready to do stuff when you get where you're going. You also have to consider the weight and portability. At 65.5 pounds, I'm comfortable carrying this upstairs, but not everybody's gonna wanna do that. Let's look at some pros and cons. The cons include that, for the weight and the price, there are faster scooters out there. The stem to deck latch is one of the more awkward ones to use. It just unlatches really easily when you set it down, and it's like kind of tricky to latch when you're picking it up. But there is a trick that people use to keep it latched all the time. Pros include that this scooter is a tenacious hill climber. I came across a couple hills and I just did not think that this scooter was gonna climb it, and it just kept going, even right up until the end of the battery. It was just climbing hills I didn't think it would climb. climb. And next up is just that it's got so much range and ride quality that makes you want to go and use all of it. And then the build quality, which is kind of tied in with that, is it feels really, really good. I mean, it's hard to describe, but it's just, this is a deeply, deeply good scooter. If you like this scooter as much as I do and you want to get one, make sure you use the link in this video's description and use our coupon code to get the lowest price possible on the VX4. And yes, full disclosure, we make a small commission when you click that link, but literally all of it goes into making more videos. Thanks so much for your support and for all the comments. I'm Paul from Electric Scooter Guide. Ride safe and don't forget to wear your helmet.